Alright, welcome back to Kamen Rider Review, episode 222. We are here reviewing it, the 19th episode of Kamen Rider Zeztz. Yep, we conclude this little two-parter involving the death game nightmare, and also Rika's actress from King Ultra, who looks like to be a regular character in the series now. I'm like, that's interesting. I mean, I'm thinking like that's actually a pretty good choice for the show, given the fact that her character on King Ultra was very beloved by a lot of people. Interesting, she does a Kamen Rider right after that. Interesting. Though she's not playing a King Ultra, she's playing with, well, we'll get to that. So, pretty much throughout this, basically, the whole thing, we found out that her character, the show, her name was Kura, where she was a former agent of Code, and apparently this game just reawakened her memories that reveal were taken away from him. And then after getting out of the memory world, and then of course he confronts her in the real world about it, and she reveals that, well, a side fact, yes, apparently that the cram school they both went to was apparently an agent recruitment center to train the agents how to fight nightmares and dreams. Interesting. And she was an agent. Now, according to the ring I saw, it looked like she was a 9. But then we'll get back to later. So they decided to remove her from the organization because apparently her cover was blown by an enemy. Somehow, they don't really explain it here. Where her cover was blown, and then basically she was moving the organization and her memory was wiped. So apparently the experience does remember her time as an agent. I mean, how the heck would the nightmare even know about it? Because the gun. Yep, that triggered her memory as an agent of Code. So basically, we have several students, well, in this flashback, being knocked out by the death game nightmare, and of course, basically, well, Nabako, the one part of the public security bureau, the one that works with Baku, she wants help too, but because it's her friend. But the thing is basically that, well, this later is that scene with Baku and Kaku. So he's like, I'll talk to her because agent. Okay, fine. And then of course they fight the death game in the dream world, obviously. And Nox apparently, get this. So that mysterious subspace where nightmares come from, apparently it's NEM subspace, subconscious. I'm like, that's interesting. NEM does not really play a role in this episode, aside from the revelation that the nightmares come from her subconscious, and she thought it was just fun, just to guide people in these dreams. So they come from her subconscious. Okay. And, well, then after that, Nem just chats with Seven, and she did nothing afterwards. I mean, I like in previous episodes where she actually was doing something. Here, her role is like nothing. Like, she had a role in the previous episode. Here, it's like she's here for a couple scenes. I kind of forgot this was Nem, because of the fact it's been like over a week since I watched the show. And I almost didn't recognize that apparently this actually is Nem. All I thought was this was just some pretty girl in the show. And, oh, this is Nem. Okay. Yeah, I know who Nem is, but it just basically, her outfit was different than, because I kind of forgot what her outfit looked like, because it's been like a week since I watched the show. So, and then of course, basically, where Kurha and Nabo basically are fighting him in the dream world, and then of course, Baku shows up, transforming into Zeztz, doing plasma form. Eventually, after a battle that takes up a good almost 5 to 8 minutes of the episode, actually more like 5 minutes I think it is, and really good fight here. That was really cool with the spikes and protecting those two. And then eventually, of course, the nightmare is defeated. Nox, by the way, he does nothing this episode because He's another character who does nothing. Like, he just shows up. Like, I kind of forgot he was in the show. Like, he shows up, takes them subconscious, and then we seem to, and of course, just see Baku in the real. We're talking to the lady in an alias of hers, where she's a psychologist. Where also she was attempting to use her memory, like brainwash ability, to manipulate Baku, but it looks like it didn't work on him. As for the reason for it, it looks like it didn't work on him, because it looks like she was trying to tempt him, but it just seemed like it didn't work. It seemed like to me. And of course, she has questioned Knox later on about the stuff that happened. And he's like, I don't hate the agent, I hate the organization. And seems like they're saying something more. And then, by the end of the episode, she had been a reporter, a photographer, a photojournalist, and then she just gives her photo evidence to her friend, and then, by the way, also, that would get basically, there's a gag a couple times in the episode where she has to beat up her boss because he's an idiot. Yeah, and he's another character who does absolutely nothing this episode. Like, literally nothing. And then it's revealed that the agent, looked like the agent, I couldn't look at him, but apparently the agent who actually sent her being revoked as being agent of code was 3. Now, as for why it had to be him, I'm guessing he may have been her handler. That's possible. And then we show off her number. Code 6. So, does that mean that she has a higher rank than Baku? It's possible. Apparently it looks like she's going to become a Kamen Rider. I'm like, that should be interesting. Yes. Which makes it, the third writer in the show we've actually had? Because you had Zeztz, Nox Knight, and now it looks like her. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. To say the least. I mean, 3 writers in one show? I mean, look at, let's say, something like O's, for example. One of my favorite shows I've reviewed recently. And that basically only had technically 2 full-time writers. The other one didn't have a form until toward the end of the show, which, then basically the second one was just replaced. Or look at something like 4Z, for example. They only technically had 2 writers the whole show. And this one, if you think about it, is Nox secondary writer? I don't think so. He's more like a rival writer. I don't think he's more like another writer per se. I would think that in the case of Code 6, he's more like a secondary writer. But debuting episode 19, this is nothing unusual per se. And also this episode, we have roughly 31 episodes left to go. So, it probably up to before the year wraps up, yes. But as for what's next Kamen Rider series, that I have no idea. All as I know is that this year apparently is 55 years since the debut of Kamen Rider. And I have not watched a lot of Kamen Rider per se. Yes, I've had over 200 plus episodes to review series for this. But, and honestly, I haven't covered a lot of Kamen Rider. Not as much as what I mean by that is because Sentai I've covered a lot of the franchise. Like, a lot. Like, I've covered almost the entire thing. In the case of Kamen Rider, I've covered the initial, all the Show Era series, which was roughly about 10 of them. Actually, about 9. And I've covered the first 3 series under, the first 3 series and the last series under Phase 1. And Phase 2, I have pretty much covered, I'm covering Double right now, which is the first series that I've covered. In a way, let's see. This is entry-wise. This is the 40th overall. But if you take out... Now, basically, how they format the entry in this franchise is apparently they included the special from the 80s and the 3 movies from the 1990s as entries in this franchise somehow. So, in a way, this is only the 37th series. And overall, in the past few years I've been reviewing this, I've covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I've technically reviewed 15 series by now. Yes, 15. And I've technically reviewed fully 15 series so far out of 37. Which means that, well, you think, oh, I have 22 left. Yeah, that's kind of true. But that will depend upon exactly how much I get done this year. Do I think I'll get it more than last year? That is possible. Yes, definitely. That is definitely possible. And, well, I should point out, though, that when I finish Double, which that's what I'm working right now, the next series will be the series under the Reiwa era. Yes. Yes, the Zeztz is technically the first Reiwa series I've covered so far, but bench watching wise, I'm covering the first one I'm covering. I'm not going to review it just yet. I'll review that when I finish talking about Double, which, as of right now for Double, I have exactly 15 episodes of the go. So there's a strong possibility I could cap this up tomorrow. And then I'm going to go through a series of movies. Yes. Several movies for Double. And there's a few other bonus ones I'm going to cover just so I get this stuff out of the way. Yes. But that is going to be pretty much it for a particular video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications. And I will see you all in my next video, okay? Bye.